Hello, my name is Randy Dobson. I'm an instructor here in the Houston, Texas area, and this video will be covering the Autocad taper faces for 3D objects. The taper will actually take an object and rotate it down. I use the word rotate instead of taper because it's very similar to the rotate command. As you see, I've got two objects, and before I start, if you remember from your AutoCAD past experience, you know that going counterclockwise to the left means you insert an angle positive, and then if you're going this way clockwise, it would be negative. And that still holds true in tapering, but you have to understand that sometimes you may not be in the exact plane where counterclockwise is to the left. You could be to where counterclockwise is to the right. And I'm going to show you some examples here. But the first thing on the taper faces, it shares up here with extrude faces and some other things, goes to taper faces. The first thing it wants to know is which face do you want to taper, and I want it to be this one, and as you can see it became gray. That's the only one I'm going to do, so I hit enter. Now it wants a base point, and this is like rotate, you where you want it to taper from, where you're going to put the angle in. So I'm going to type in END, go to this end point back here, and then it wants another point along that line. I'm going to do here. So now this taper is either going to go around this way or it's going to go around this way. Now here's where that angle, I want this to taper down, so I'm going to give it a positive number because this is still counterclockwise. I want to type in 30, and as you can see, let me kind of turn this. What's happened is I've tapered this. I drew this line beforehand just to show you this is where this edge used to be. So from this line, see if I can get a little bit better here. Let's see here. That's a little bit better. That other one's kind of in the way. Let me move it out of the way if I can here. Okay. So I tapered this down, so from this imaginary edge where it was down to here is 30 degrees. If I would have typed in a negative 30, it would have went up this way. Now as you notice, it tapered from this point because that was the base point. If I would have done it on this end, then this would have been the swivel point. Let me use that. That sounds good, a swivel point. I'm going to undo all of this and go back. Okay, so now I'm going to do a taper faces. I'm going to do the same face. It wants a base point, so I'm going to type in END on this side and then END on this side. And when I type in 30, as you can see, that is, it went down, but here was the pivot point. That's the base point that I put that on. Now, as you can see, I put in a positive, but it went down. Depending on what plane and what view you're in, it's, sometimes it's just easier just to undo it and redo it again with either positive or negative. In this case, I just hit undo. I go to shell. Oops, try that again. Well, see, this is one of the ones I was telling y'all. I want this to gray, and it just won't do that for me. Let me see here. Sometimes this is where it won't, it's not giving me that gray. Let me try it over here. It's depending on how you're looking at it, and that's one of the downfalls of AutoCAD. Let me try shell again. Pick the I'm sorry, I'm hitting shell, no wonder. Taper faces, I'm going to pick here, and there it turned gray. Okay, I'm going to hit enter as my base point, and then down over here, now when I do negative, it's going to come up. So in this case, this is, let me kind of turn it sideways, this is the clockwise. Okay, so even if you're looking at it on this end, this is still the clockwise. So you know, it takes a little experience on that. Don't sweat that if you mess it up. Just undo it and put a negative or a positive in the next time. But make sure that if you're going to taper something that it already has openings in it, let me just do that real quick. Let me put some cylinders in here and subtract those out. This is in another video, so now I want to create my openings before I do my taper. And let's say I'm going to use this is my base point, this is another point, and I'm going to type in 30. See, so now when it tapers it down, it does it correctly with the opening. So you want to have all your modifications done to an object whenever possible before you taper it. That it just makes the life a little bit easier when you're working with the drawings. And that concludes my video on taper faces. Thank you.